Well, welcome back to this segment of In the Spotlight. Continuing on with what's happening in local schools, we have quite a story for you. This just broke yesterday. We're taping this on Friday. This was a big deal yesterday in Glen Ellyn School District 41, and specifically Abraham Lincoln School, where this young teacher, was unhinged, jumping off the desk. If you're watching this, great. You're going to be able to see this video. If you're just listening to us, we're going to encourage you to go and find this video, because you got to see it to believe it. But you're going to hear what she has to say to some, disco music, by the way. All right, let's go ahead. Take a listen. She's dancing.
And her shirt says, "Teach children social justice." Okay.
So she's sit there. She's after hours. She's on a student's desk. She's got the pride flag behind her. She's wearing a shirt that says "Teach children social justice." She's got this long black skirt on with what looks like hiking boots. I mean, I'd be a little worried if my kid showed up to that teacher.
These theater kids have got to be banned from positions of public trust. And I say this as a former theater kid, but this is nuts.
Was she a theater kid?
She appears to be.
She appears to be. I mean, her name is Lauren Crow. Anyway, this isn't the only video she did. This is from her own TikTok, by the way. She's posting these TikToks videos. She's setting this up in her classroom and then posting these TikTok videos. So she doesn't mind getting this exposure. She's very proud of herself.
Yeah.
So Project Veritas,
putting it out there.
They basically they found out about a teacher who admitted to an undercover Veritas reporter that he was working to turn his students into Antifa revolutionaries. Yeah. So that was an undercover hit job.
Right.
She's just full display
and I think it's
here.
important to remind people, we aren't doing this segment to make fun of this silly person. We are talking about this to remind people that the kooky ideas and theories that float around in the academy and in out-of-touch elitist circles have worked their way down to have an effect on the ground and on your kids.
Well, this is, look, yes. Okay, we have a second video of her speaking. So go ahead and play this clip. This is who she is.
Let's discuss something, because it needs to continue to be talked about. You don't think white supremacy and white privilege exists? Check yourself. That's all.
What does that even mean? It doesn't even make sense.
So she's all into the whole, critical race theory, obviously, believes that in white privilege, white supremacy exists. And if you don't believe that that's the case, you need to check yourself. I mean, she's of the same vein as this other teacher, Gabriel Gipe, who got caught.
Yeah, I think this is the exact thing that many parents fear is happening, which is that their children are not being given the opportunity to learn a wide variety of things and core competency subjects, that they're instead being indoctrinated by people who want to advocate for one particular ideology that's kind of out there. And, if this teacher were showing kids the width and breadth of political ideas in the United States, maybe at an age-appropriate level, because I think she's a third-grade teacher, maybe, people wouldn't have such a reaction to it. But do we want teachers? We don't want teachers to be bragging about how they're turning students into left-wing zealots like that Antifa teacher was, or she clearly going on her TikTok and bragging about what she's doing in her classroom, using her classroom as the setting. Especially people being paid with our tax dollars. I think that it's left a lot of parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Teachers are, but parents are shocked all over. I mean, in the case of this Gabriel Gipe in his Natoma School District, one parent is quoted as saying, "I was shocked when I saw this on the news. I don't even hardly know what to say. Teaching communism in the public school system is evil. Yeah. It is nonsense." There's
They're
no
right.
excuse for communism on American soil. I mean, they are absolutely right.
And where
where does this come from?
Well, I mean, and this
actually, we know where this comes from. It comes from the teaching environment that these people are educated in the higher education institutions. It's no different from the teacher who sent that getting to know you survey to our children and asked what their pronouns were.
Right.
Same thing. And they think it's acceptable.
The discussion has gone on for almost all of history about who should be in charge of caring for children. I mean, it goes back to Plato's Republic, so ancient Greece. This was a discussion, the state or the parents. And in the United States, since the 1950s on up, it's been the parents. And what you have is this idea coming out of academia or wherever that teachers, and there was, when we went on lockdown and there were remote learning, there were discussions, and I don't know if you remember, there was one in a thread where these teachers were talking about how do we still get critical race theory through and do these gender study projects to young kids with parents' ears, where with parents within earshot, they have to be safe in my classroom for me to indoctrinate them, basically, is what they were saying. So that was a wake-up call. But this idea is that, these teachers are supposed to be educator, friend, confidant, sex counselor, shaman, when really they're just supposed to teach you math.
That's right.
And so you have a choice. The choice is you can be in charge of the care of your child, and they are a son or a daughter, or the schools can be in charge of the care of your children, and they are a ward of the state. So which direction are we going to go? Well, and that's kind of the lens we need to view this stuff through.
In our own school district, they are saying that we want every student to have an adult friend at the school. That is like their mantra, somebody they can go to. No, I'm sorry. They don't need to confide in you at all. But this is. But listen, I found this the other day because I was looking for stuff, and this is the Illinois State Board of Education, our own Illinois State Board of Education, March 9th, 2020, puts out this entire sample board policies and administrative procedures supporting transgender, non-binary, and gender nonconforming students. And on page 8 of this document, it's just, to me, it's so alarming because they flat out say that you are not to tell the parents what you're doing. It says confidentiality. All students have the right to privacy. This includes the right to keep their transgender, non-binary, or gender nonconforming identity private at school. Information about a student's transgender, non-binary, and gender
nonconforming child's health. Exactly. At this point, you bring the parents into that discussion. I'm offended as a parent.
They're saying no. The same thing. District staff shall use the student's affirmed name and pronouns, which are the name and pronouns that correspond to the student's gender identity. A student is not required to obtain a legal name or gender marker change. Blah, 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 blah. Consent from parents and guardians is not required to address a student by the student's affirmed name and pronouns. This is now policy. Why? Because Pritzker came into being. His Illinois State Board of Education put this together. They are subverting parental rights everywhere you go.
And this is regardless of how you feel about LGBTQ issues or the transgender issue. This is about who is in charge of raising your children. That's exactly
my point.
Do you have a right to know
up and say that we have a problem with all that?
What is going on with your own children? Yes, of course you do.
Not according to the schools. Not according to the schools. And the fact that she used her classroom setting as a backdrop to perform TikTok videos and literally is standing on a desk is like, just so obnoxious. Hey, I thought those were supposed to be sanitized. I thought students work at those desks and you're standing on it.
One other story this week. One other story this week before we wrap this up. The LA Teacher Union president, did you hear this? Said it's more important for kids to learn about social justice than math. Here's the quote. There's no learning loss, talking about COVID. Our kids didn't lose anything. It's okay that our babies may not have learned all of their times tables. They learned resilience, survival, critical thinking skills. They know the difference between a riot and a protest. They know the words insurrection and coup. Unbelievable. It's disgraceful. And frankly, I don't even think these unions represent a majority of teachers anymore.
I don't think they either, and I hope that there's a sea change in California with the Larry Elder election that is, I predict is going to happen. Actually, it's hard to predict because they're going to cheat. They're going to cheat to win that election because he would be a game changer because he's all about school choice, which is exactly after people like Lauren Crow put out crap like this and try to indoctrinate their kids.
And the union's trying to keep your kids. Yeah, and the union's trying to keep your kids out of school. They have been seen for what they are. They're political machines in every sense of the word. They don't care about kids except to turn them into activists. That's why they fight school choice. That's why they fight choice. They want a monopoly on the minds of the next generation.
No doubt. Okay, just to wrap this up, I will say this. Thank you, Glen Ellyn residents who have called and emailed the District 41 superintendent. He put out this, Dear District 41 community, D41 has become aware of social media posts about a staff member that have surfaced overnight. The district is aware of these posts and is in the midst of an investigation in collaboration with our legal counsel. Due to the volume of calls and emails, we will not be able to respond directly to every contact. Thank you for your understanding. So Dr. Melissa Katzkowski. So that was her statement. Good. Keep it up. Don't back down. Show up at your school board meetings. Find out what's happening in your schools.
For sure.
Next segment is Dan Ugosti, all about what's happened in Springfield this week. They were in session on Tuesday.
Look forward to talking with them.